Have you ever wondered if you could survive in space without an astronaut suit? The simple answer would be not for long, as the way we humans are structured right now, we would only be able to survive for up to 2 minutes. However, with some genetic tinkering, we may have figured out a way how. But before we tell you, we should go over some basic information on genetics and how it affects us. DNA is what makes each living thing on Earth have unique traits, even if it's the same species. If DNA didn't exist, all humans would look and think exactly the same. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, define the unique traits of every living organism. It's composed of 4 bases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine, that form sequences called codons. These codons encode the instructions for building proteins, with each group of 3 codons representing one of 20 different amino acids. In other words, there are 20 different types of Lego blocks to build a Lego house that correspond to different human traits. What's unique is that these Lego blocks can be used to build characteristics of all living things on Earth. That's why DNA is called the universal language. Nature. When people think of hereditary, they often think of external traits like skin color and freckles, but it's not that simple. It also includes internal traits, such as stress and trauma. In humans, DNA is organized into 46 chromosomes. Our DNA is made up of 23 chromosome pairs, each inherited from both our mother and father. There are dominant and recessive genetic traits, and when both are present at the same time, the dominant trait will always be expressed. Using blood types as an example, if a mother is dominant type A and the father is a recessive type O, their child would be dominant type A. However, genetics doesn't make up for all of our traits. Our traits also change depending on our environment. For example, let's say you have twins. If you have twin A who smokes and twin B who doesn't, twin A will have a higher chance of getting cancer than their sibling. In this way, even genetically inherited traits can change based on a person's life experiences and choices. Epigenetics means that the way your genes behave can be changed by the environment you live in or by your behavior. It doesn't change your original DNA sequence, but it does change how your body reads it. Things like diet, physical activity, and stress levels can affect your genes, either for the worse or for the better. As you can see, almost all traits can be categorized as either nature or nurture. We only know how dependent they are to either nature or nurture. The Human Genome Project explains why we look unique, think differently, and even what diseases we can get and why we respond to different medicines. This is all because DNA sequencing changes even the smallest details about us. If we study our genome, we can see improved genetic testing, new gene therapy treatments, new knowledge of human evolution, and personalized medicines. Now we can finally talk about a way humans can be genetically modified to survive in space using CRISPR-Cas9, HGT, gene therapy, and tardigrades. CRISPR, clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, is essentially a highly efficient way of gene editing, where an enzyme called Cas9 zeroes in on particular sequences of DNA, isolating them so that they can be cut out or modified with precision. Horizontal gene transfer, or HGT, can be used to move DNA or RNA from one species to another's genome without those species copulating, which can typically be done through bacterial infection or engulfing other organisms. One example is a sea slug, which engulfs chloroplasts and uses it as an organ. Tardigrades are another example. Alongside HGT, we can also use gene therapy as a means to biologically edit our DNA and enhance it in order to survive in space. Gene therapy is where we apply genetic modifications to the DNA of a person's somatic cells, compromising tissue types and all other cells. By making these changes to somatic and not germline cells, these traits would not be inheritable and would avoid particular ethical concerns. By using these genetic technologies, we can splice our DNA with that of a tardigrade and help mitigate some of the difficulties that come with surviving in space, like extreme temperatures, radiation, and the lack of oxygen. What in the world is a tardigrade, you might ask? Well, a tardigrade is a remarkable microanimal with 8 legs. They can withstand temperatures from up to 150 degrees Celsius to a chilling minus 272.15 degrees Celsius. They are also resistant to immense pressures up to 6 times what is experienced on the ocean floor, and also boiling lava. A tardigrade can suspend its living processes for almost 30 years through cytobiosis before being brought back to life. These creatures are also capable of protecting themselves from a lethal blast of UV radiation by forming a protective glowing shield. You may have wondered how these microscopic creatures are so astoundingly durable. Their secret is DSUP, short for damage suppressor. As its name implies, it suppresses breakages that happen to the molecule's double helical ladder-like structure. In an experiment done in 2007, several dehydrated tardigrades were taken up into orbit and exposed to the vacuum and radiation of space for 10 days. When they returned, over 2/3 of them were successfully revived, and although most of them died soon after, they still proved to be able to survive in space for a prolonged period of time. The genetic enhancements using tardigrades for the future of space exploration is possible. In fact, benefits of doing so would be a leap to a brighter future for the human race. In the future, when people live on other planets, it would be difficult for them to live in bodies that were made to live on Earth. In that sense, it would be ethical and less harmful for people to modify their DNA to create a body suitable for living in space. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos are already dreaming of an environment in which it will be possible to live in space, not just survive in 20 generations. To make it possible, many scientists are trying to modify human genes. Some may say that this is unethical, but as Dr. Christopher E. Mason says, in the future, genetic modifications that minimize the risks will play an important role in ensuring safety in space. As the saying goes, per aspera ad astra, through hardships to the stars. Humans will go through many hardships, but at the end of it all, we will be greeted by a shining star.